going to try something a little bit CNN. So we need to talk about flat feet. Somebody mentioned that they were going to research flat feet, which means that it needs to come up. This is an orange. This is an apple. If I say I have an orange in my hand, orange means something to me. It means this fruit here. And I suspect orange probably means the same to everyone else in the room. So if I say I've got an orange, you know what I mean, I know what I mean. If I say I have an apple, you know what I mean, I know what I mean. If I say I have a piece of fruit in my hand, that's still true. We both know what I mean, but you don't really know what I mean. I know what I mean because I'm looking at the particular piece of fruit, so I know more information about it than that. You don't know what I mean. I could be holding an apple or an orange. All I've said is that I've got a piece of fruit. So that's not a helpful piece of terminology. When we talk about flat feet, we are describing a piece of fruit. We are describing something which covers a whole range of different interpretations. There is no firm fixed definition of flat foot. Depending on where you look, you'll see terms like a lowered arch, but that doesn't really tell us anything. A flat foot could be a foot which is rigid, which is flat. So even when the patient is standing on the couch like that, their foot is flat and you could put a ruler against it and it would be rigid and flat and it won't bend. It will not adopt a shape other than flat. That is certainly a flat foot. Or it could be somebody who is somewhat hypermobile. So when they are on the couch, they've got a foot with an arch on it, but when they put that on the floor, it goes splat because the floor is flat. If you put it on an insole, it will adopt an insole shape. It's runny. That is a different creature entirely, but it is still classed as a flat foot, rather unhelpfully. Or it could be a foot which has flattened because it's rolled in that way and collapsed in from the ankle, or it could be a foot where the ankle is straight but it's elongated out that way. Both of those could be considered a flat foot. Most people, Afro-Caribbean background, will have a foot which is flatter and floppier than somebody European or particularly Northern European background. So that also could be considered a flat foot. So when we say flat foot, because it doesn't have a firm definition, it does not mean, for example, a rigid flat foot or a mobile flat foot or a pathologically flat foot. All we're saying is that I have a piece of fruit in my hand. This patient is this piece of fruit which I have here. So that's why it chills me when somebody says they're going to research flat feet, because anywhere that you go that will tell you how to assess flat feet, how to treat flat feet, is really just saying, we've got a piece of fruit here and we're going to tell you what to do with it. We're going to tell you how to make a recipe out of it. But if you don't know what fruit it is you're looking at, then your apple crumble is going to come out tasting like pineapple because it turned out to be a different type of fruit. It turned out to be a different type of flat feet. If you have a foot which is flat because it is hypermobile, so it's generally got an arch in it, but when you put it on the ground it flattens, you put an insole in it, you might be able to make it a better shape. If you've got a foot which is completely rigid and flat and you put an insole with a bloody great arch in it, it ain't going to go anywhere. It can't be improved that way. So that same flat foot, piece of fruit, would not respond well to those two different treatments. One of them is a pathology, one of them is a risk factor. It might be that there is bony fusion in one and not in the other. Or it might be that it is just anatomically that way. As I say, Afro-Caribbean feet tend to be flat and floppy. So flat feet is not a great piece of terminology. It muddles the thinking a little bit. So if you're starting out looking at biomechanics and you're starting out looking at this sort of thing, I would caution you against looking for flat feet, because anything you find that is written about flat feet will probably be more infomercial than science, because one thing you can do with flat feet is you can sell people stuff to fix it, because it's a terrifying and nocebic term. If you're not sure what nocebic means, go back and look at that video again. Which can make people think that they have to be mended or fixed. and very often they don't. So flat feet is a broad catch-all term. It's like saying a piece of fruit. Given that we are trying to fix people, we have to be a bit more specific. We have to be able to say, is this an orange or an apple? Is this a rigid fixed flat foot or a mobile foot which flattens? Because it does matter, the two are exceedingly different.